I am about to have so much fun, so I hope you will too. Then again, it's always a fun time when we get together. So if you remember, last Wednesday we started talking about this ordinary hero. His name is Moses. Well, guess what? This week, we're going to keep learning about him. Waiting is hard. You see, we live in a world today where everything can get done really at the snap of a finger. I mean, if you really want to know the answer to something, you ask Siri or you Google it. If you want food, you don't have to wait to farm and plant the crop and grow it to get the food, right? No, you just go to the store. So things happen a lot faster than they once used to. And we kind of don't like to wait, do we? I know sometimes it's hard for me to wait for things. Like, I get so excited and then I just want it now, and I'm sure that happens to you maybe when it's getting closer to Christmas and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to open my presents. But you have to wait for Christmas anyway. So sometimes it gets really hard to wait. And a lot of times when it comes to God's plan for our life, it gets even harder to wait because sometimes we feel like things are taking too long because God's timing is very different than ours. Sometimes, because we're so impatient and it's hard for us to wait, we end up doing things a little out of order than what God would have planned, or we end up jumping the gun and trying to help speed things along. It ends up taking us down somewhere that wasn't intended to happen anyway. And that sometimes we make mistakes. And that's what we're going to talk about with Moses today. Moses made a mistake. And today we're going to learn the importance of trusting in God. And well, it's not easy at all to wait, but it's going to be so worth it in the end. So let's dive right in.
298, 299.
Oh, hey kids, I'm just here doing some push-ups while I get ready for my superhero lesson with my trainer, Master Treelimb. But he's not here yet. You know, ever since we started the series about Moses, Ordinary Hero, I've been learning a whole lot. I feel like I'm ready for some real superhero stuff, not just training.
You think you are ready, do you?
Yeah, I know I am. I'm tired of all this training stuff. All we ever do is train. Why is this taking so long? I'm ready to do some real hero work.
Well, you will do some hero work, but you have to wait.
But I don't want to wait. I've been waiting.
I said you had to wait. All in good time.
You don't understand how hard it is to know God's plan for your life, but have to wait so long to do anything about it.
Every good hero knows the value of patience. You have to wait.
Listen, I'm tired of waiting. I want to be a hero right now.
Wait! That boy has a lot to learn.
What's that? It appears that man's trying to break into that car and steal it! Never fear, Captain Obvious is here.
Oh, okay, maybe you can help me.
Help you? I will not help you steal a car.
Steal a car? No, this is...
Lies! Lies! No, do not speak lies. I am a hero. I will defeat you.
Oh, man! Why did you hit me? Man, I'm calling the police.
Please do. We need a police officer here to handle you.
Handle me? Are you serious? Yeah, I need a police officer at 42nd and Elm very fast. I got a guy dressed in his underoos who just assaulted me.
Assaulted you? I did not. I was trying to stop you from stealing this car.
Stealing this car? Do you realize that it's my car? How can I steal my own car? That's right, and the police are here right now.
Whoa, this is your car?
Yeah, it's my car. I locked my keys in there. You hit me. You're going to jail.
This is just a big misunderstanding. Oh, okay, all right. Oh.
That's right, officer.
Man, why didn't I just listen to Master Treelimb? I should have waited for the right time instead of taking things into my own hands. I shouldn't have gotten in such a hurry.
And you shouldn't have hit me.
Why didn't I just listen to Master Treelimb?
Get him to jail.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, kids, I sure learned my lesson. I took things into my own hands instead of waiting on God's timing. And today in your lesson, you're going to learn exactly how Moses did the same thing I did. Well, until next time, this is Captain Obvious, and I'm going to jail. See you later.
What's up? What's up?
Ah, yeah, what's up, everybody? It's me, the SKI to the double TLES, Skittles in the hizzy, and I'm ready to tell you what's up. Today, we're talking about waiting on God. So every time today that somebody asks you what's up, you tell them it's time to wait on the Lord. Waiting is not very easy. Sometimes we just want to ask God, why are you taking so long? But we got to remember that God's timing is perfect. We can't get in a hurry. We got to wait on Him, baby. So anytime somebody asks you what's up, you tell them it's time to wait on the Lord. And that's what's up. I got a rainbow of flavor, and I'm living for my Savior. Skittles out, baby. Yeah.
Today's Bible story is found in Exodus chapter 2. Now, if you remember from last week, we were also in Exodus chapter 2. But we kind of left off midway in that story, in that chapter. So when we were last together, Moses was a little bitty baby. His mom put him in a basket, shipped him down the Nile River, trying to save his life. And who found him? That's right, Pharaoh's daughter. And she adopted him. So where we left Moses off, he was being raised in Pharaoh's palace as an Egyptian. Let's check in with Moses and see what's been going on since then. So Moses grew up in the palace as Pharaoh's grandson, and he enjoyed all of the privileges and perks of a palace life. But Moses had been taught by his real mother, so he knew that he was really a Hebrew and that God had a plan for his life. And Moses was walking out one day, and he came upon an Egyptian soldier beating a Hebrew slave. The Egyptians were always treating the Hebrews so terribly. After all, the Hebrews were slaves in Egypt. And Moses had no doubt seen scenes like this many times growing up. But this time it was different. Moses got very angry, and he decided to do something. He probably thought this was just not fair that God's people would be slaves like this. They didn't deserve to be treated this way. So Moses took things into his own hands. He looked around and saw that nobody was watching. Then he grabbed the Egyptian soldier, struck him, and killed him. Then Moses hid the Egyptian's body in the sand. Moses thought he had gotten away with it. The next day he went out walking again. And this time he came upon two Hebrew slaves fighting and arguing with one another. Moses stopped them and said, "Why are you fighting with your brother like this? You're both Hebrews. You shouldn't be fighting like this." And one of the Hebrews turned to Moses and said, "Why? Are you going to kill me like you did that Egyptian soldier?" And Moses couldn't believe it. How did this slave know what he had done? If this slave knew, then it wouldn't be long before Pharaoh found out, and Moses knew this would spell certain trouble for him. Sure enough, Pharaoh did find out what Moses had done, and Pharaoh tried to kill Moses. But Moses escaped by running off into the desert, and it was there in the desert that Moses would stay for many years. He had taken things into his own hands and caused quite a lot of trouble for himself. So today what we're trying to learn is that it never pays to try to get ahead of God's plan. We just have to be patient and be willing to wait for God's perfect timing. Because when we take things into our own hands, it never goes well.
Hello, I am Jebel, famous fashion designer extraordinaire, and I design costumes for superheroes. Today, I am working on a costume for Captain Biscuits. While I do this, I need you to listen to today's paraverse. And today's paraverse, it says, "Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for Him to act." Psalm 37:7. Ah, what an amazing paraverse that was. Now I need just a little bit of help from the boys. If you could please stand to your feet and let's say the power verse together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Psalm 37:7. Ah, boys, that was a fantastic job. Have a seat, have a seat. Now I need all of my girls to stand up and let's say the power verse together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Psalm 37:7. Very good, very good. Have a seat, have a seat. Listen, I want to tell you something that happened to me just the other day. I was designing Captain Biscuit's costume, and he sends me the text message and gives me the call, asking me every 15 minutes, is it ready? Is it ready? Is it ready? I finally told him, you must show patience. And in life, we do the exact same thing. We are so impatient, and we just need to trust God's timing. So, I need everyone to stand up with me, and let's say the power verse on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Psalm 37:7. Ah, good job, good job. Have a seat, have a seat. Well, listen, I have finally finished designing Captain Biscuit's costume. Do you want to see it? Yeah! All right, here it is. Ah, thank you, thank you. Well, it is time for me to go. But until we meet again, I am Zebel saying, peace out.
Waiting, right? Such a hard thing to do. And I'm not just talking about waiting for Christmas, your birthday, or maybe you're waiting for somebody to pick you up, but waiting for God's timing? Oh man, that can be so hard. Have you ever prayed for something and had to wait for it to happen? Has God ever promised you something and then you had to wait a long time before it happened? Waiting on God is hard. It's hard for us, and it was definitely hard for Moses. See, we just learned about how Moses got tired of waiting on God to see the Hebrews free from slavery. Now, certainly it was God's desire and it was in his plans to set the Hebrews free, but Moses felt like it should have happened right now, way sooner. And instead of waiting on God to unveil his plan and in his timing, Moses took things into his own hands, and that didn't go so well. So he ended up killing an Egyptian and getting in trouble, and then he was kind of running for his life. So several terrible things happened when Moses decided to take things into his own hands instead of waiting on God's timing. And those similarly same terrible things can happen when we get impatient and decide to take things into our own hands as well. You see, Moses paid a high price for impatience. He ended up having to run for his life in order to escape being killed by Pharaoh. Moses ran into the desert and stayed there for many years. He was no longer a member of the royal family. He didn't have any family. He no longer lived in the palace, and now he lived in the wilderness. He no longer had everything he wanted. He now had nothing. He paid a high price for taking things into his own hands instead of being patient and waiting on God. And it's the same way with you and me. When we decide our way is better instead of trusting God's plans, we end up paying a high price too. We must learn to be patient. If we trust God's timing, everything will work out fine. If we take things into our own hands, then we pay a high price. Not only that, but Moses wasn't the only person who was hurt as a result of his actions. The Hebrew people remained in captivity for many years longer because Moses decided he wanted to take things into his own hands. See, God's plan all along was to use Moses to deliver the Hebrews from the slavery. And you can see that from the way that God made it possible for Pharaoh's daughter to adopt them, Moses was living right there in the palace. You never know. Moses may have eventually become Pharaoh one day when his grandfather died. Can you imagine if Moses would have became Pharaoh? He would have had the power to just be like, well, all right, all the Hebrews are free. He could have freed them way easier. Don't you think? But instead, he got impatient and killed the Egyptian soldier because he didn't like him mistreating the Hebrews. He not only caused pain for himself, but he caused the entire Hebrew nation to suffer. And it's that way with you and me. When we get in a hurry and make bad decisions, instead of trusting God's timing, we end up hurting ourselves and causing pain for those around us as well. Our family, our friends, those who depend on us, everyone around us is affected when we don't trust God's timing. And another final thing that happens when we take things into our own hands is, that word delay. It means that we cause God's plan to happen much later. You see, God still had a plan to set the Hebrews free, and that plan still included Moses. It's just that Moses' actions caused God's plan to be delayed for many years. But we're going to find out more about that next week, about how God still wanted to use Moses in a special way. Well, it's that way for me and you too. Well, perhaps you've gotten ahead of God's plan because you thought your way was better, your idea or your timeline was better than what God was doing. You just didn't want to wait, and now you've made a huge mistake. And now maybe you or others are suffering because you messed up. But don't worry, I have good news for you. You might have delayed God's plan, but you didn't destroy it. God still has a plan, and He's still going to make sure His plan includes you. He can forgive you and help you get back on the right track to whatever His plan is that includes you. I'm going to pray for you real quick. If you feel like Moses and you have trouble waiting, then let's ask God to help us. Dear Jesus, thank you for loving me. And thank you that even when I mess up, you still have a plan for me that includes me and that you help me get back on the right track. Father, I pray that if I've done anything or if my friends have done anything that has gotten us away from your plan, help us get back on the right track and help us to be patient in your timing and to trust you and know that you are really working out everything for the best. Remind us of Moses, that even when we mess up, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It's okay. We can come to you and you can forgive us and you'll help us still accomplish many great things. We thank you and we love you. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Alrighty, I'm having so much fun. You're having so much fun. We do a lot of great learning here, and that's super exciting. But before we go, let's play a quick game, have some fun, and then I'll let you get back to the rest of your week. Are you ready?
Brain drain.
Question number 1. What's up today? I'll live by my timing. God gives answers now, or it's time to wait upon the Lord. What's up today? I'll live by my timing. God gives answers now, or it's time to wait upon the Lord. Good job! It's time to wait upon the Lord. Question number 2. What did Moses see that made him angry? What did Moses see that made him angry? Was it an Egyptian soldier beating a Hebrew slave? Was it the Hebrews worshiping the Egyptians? Or was it Pharaoh helping the Hebrews? What did Moses see that made him so angry? Do you know? Are you typing it up below? Come on, tell me. What did Moses see? You're right. He saw an Egyptian soldier beating a Hebrew slave. Good job. Question number 3. What did Moses do to the soldier? What did Moses do to that soldier? Did he send him to jail? Killed him? Or nothing? What did Moses do to the soldier? Sent him to jail? Killed him? Or nothing? What did he do? He killed him. Oh my gosh, that's right. That's what Moses did. Well, question number 4. Did Pharaoh find out what Moses did? Did Pharaoh find out what Moses did? Yes or no? Did Pharaoh find out what Moses did? Of course he found out. Somebody must have told him. He's the guy in charge. They told him what's going on. Yes, Pharaoh found out what Moses did. So question number 5, where did Moses go after Pharaoh tried to kill him? Where did Moses go after Pharaoh tried to kill him? Did he go home? Did he go to the river? Or did he go into the desert? Where did Moses go? Did he go home, to the river, or into the desert? Well, you're right. If Pharaoh tried to kill him, he probably couldn't go back home. So where did he end up? Yes, he went into the desert. Good job. Question number 6. According to our lesson today, when I take things into my own hands, I pay a blank blank. Do I pay a low price? Do I pay a high price? Or do I pay a dollar bill? According to today's lesson, what happens when we take things into our own hands? What do we pay? A low price, a high price, or a dollar bill? You're right. When we take things into our own hands, we definitely pay a high price. Question number 7, here we go. According to our lesson today, when I take things into my own hands, I cause others to blank. When I take things into my own hands, I cause others to blank. Is it to cry, to laugh, or to suffer? When you take things into your own hands, do you cause people to cry, laugh, or suffer? What happens? I want you to think about it. I know you know the answer. Come on, what happens? You're right. When we take things into our own hands, we cause other people to suffer. And question number 8, according to our lesson today, when I take things into my own hands, I delay God's blank for my life. When I take things into my own hands, I delay God's blank for my life. Is it plan? Is it timing? Is it apple? Do we delay God's apple for our lives? Do we delay God's timing for our lives? Or do we delay God's plan for our lives? What is delayed when we take things into our own hands? Good job! We delay God's plan for our life. Question number 9. If I make a mistake, is God's plan for my life over? If I make a mistake, is God's plan for my life over? Yes or no? Well, what happens when I make a mistake? Is that it? Is it over for me? That's it? God's plan ends there? Yes or no? Awesome! The answer is no. Just because you make a mistake does not mean that God's plan for your life is over. Question number 10. Where was our power verse found? Where was our power verse found today? Psalm 37:7, Matthew 4:6, or Genesis 8:2? Where was our power verse found today? Was it Psalm chapter 37 verse 7, Matthew chapter 4 verse 6, or Genesis chapter 8 verse 2? Where was that power verse found? Good job! It was Psalm 37:7. You guys are so amazing. I'm so proud of you. Great job. Honestly, you guys are so good. You're so amazing. You remember so much in these games. You're killing it. I'm so proud of you. Well, but that's all our time we have for today. I love you. I miss you. Remember, just because you make a mistake doesn't mean that God's plan's over for your life. Ask Him to forgive you and ask Him to give you the patience to wait for Him and to help you put you on the right track. But until we see each other again on Sunday, remember that I really do love you and I miss you and I can't wait to hang out with you again. God bless.